Hi, I'm Alan Stafford, and welcome to Think Sharper. My background, it's in marketing and neuroscience, and I've spent over 30 years studying the mechanics of how we're persuaded. You see, this channel isn't about telling you what to think. It's about giving you the tools to see how manipulative language and hidden frames are designed to basically do the thinking for you. And my mission is to help you improve your critical thinking skills so you can see the world more clearly. So let's get started. So usually on the pundit playbook, we look at how politicians, corporate leaders, and the media manipulate you. However, today, what I'm going to do is something a little different. I'm going to take a look at a conversation between an influencer political commentator, Dean Withers, and a guest named Amanda. Now, I want to be very clear before we even begin this. This is not a political video, and I don't care which side of the aisle you sit on. What we're analyzing today is a universal mechanic of human psychology. We're going to watch what happens when a vague emotional shield, which is the kind we all use to protect our beliefs, collides with specific mathematical reality. What we're going to do is watch a human brain reboot in real time. And the technique used here is one you can actually use in any difficult conversation, whether it's about politics, business, or family dynamics. Let's look at phase one, the divine shield.
And why do you support Trump?
Because he's my president. And I feel like God is very intentional with who he chose to lead the country.
So God chose him.
Yeah, God's intentional. He's the president for a reason.
All right, so what we just heard is what we call a thought-terminating cliché. See, Amanda is using the concept of God's will to shut down her prefrontal cortex, the logic part of her brain. So by framing the situation as divine intent, she relieves herself of the burden of having to defend specific policies. It is a neurological safety mechanism. So if God chose him, then the details don't matter and she feels safe. See, most people make the mistake of attacking the faith. They say God isn't real, or how can you believe that? That never works, folks. It just triggers the amygdala, the fear center, and makes the person, well, dig deeper into their little trenches. Now watch how Dean handles this. He doesn't attack her faith, he attacks the logic of her shield.
Was Hitler the dictator of Nazi Germany for a reason?
Wait, why are we talking about Hitler? Keep it on Trump first.
Because your logic seems to be, if somebody is a leader, then they're...
No, I don't want to talk about logic, though. I want to talk about Trump.
Now, what you just saw is cognitive dissonance in action. See, Dean accepts her premise, God is intentional, but applies it to a horrific example, Hitler. Basically, this forces a glitch in Amanda's processing. But before I lay out the logical argument, if you want to watch the breakdown of whether the argument is logical or sound or both, watch the bonus section at the end of this video. Now, the logical argument Dean presents that causes Amanda to glitch out is the following. See, premise A, God is intentional and good. Premise B, God allowed Hitler. Conclusion, therefore, God intended something bad. See, her brain cannot reconcile this. You can see her fight or flight response kick in immediately. She tries to deflect. Why are we talking about Hitler? She is trying to run away from the logic trap because it hurts to think about it. But Dean doesn't let her run. And this is where he makes the winning move. You see, he stops arguing philosophy and starts arguing math. And this is the core lesson of today's video. See, you can't fight vague feelings with vague anger. You must use hyper-specificity. See, the brain loves efficiency. It loves generalization. And it hates specific numbers because, well, they force the brain to wake up and process reality. Let's watch how Dean shifts from abstract theology to concrete statistics.
So then if we take 38.8% and we multiply that by 42 million to determine how many of the SNAP recipients are children, we're going to get a number, right?
Go ahead.
Okay, so that number would be 16,296,000. So in other words, 16,296,000 American children are going without food because the Trump administration is refusing to abide by a court order to feed them.
All right, did you hear that? 16,296,000 children. He didn't say a lot of kids. He didn't say the poor. He gave a specific number attached to a specific court order. This is what we call the burden of specificity. You see, Amanda's divine shield basically protects her from abstract ideas like bad policies. It can't protect her from the mental image of 16 million starving children. Her mirror neurons, the part of the brain responsible for empathy, well, they're finally overriding her tribal loyalty. She is now forced to choose, do I support God's chosen one or do I support starving children? She can no longer have both, hence cognitive dissonance in play. And here's the result. Watch.
That's not Christian.
Not at all.
I would hope you don't think I'm a bird brain that would be like, yeah, I still support Trump. He's starving children. No, that's wrong.
So you don't support Trump?
Not if he's starving children intentionally, no.
This is the guest that changes their mind? Wow, it us out of fucking left field.
No, that's wrong. That is the sound of the neural pathway being rewritten. See, she didn't change her mind because Dean yelled at her. She didn't even change her mind because he insulted her religion. She changed her mind because he forced her to look at a specific reality that her vague beliefs, well, they couldn't explain away. So what's the lesson for all of us? Well, when you're in a conversation with someone who is stuck in a loop of blind faith, whether it's about a politician, a business decision, or a toxic relationship, don't attack their feelings. Feelings, well, they're shields. Instead, burden them with specificity. Give them the number, show them the court order, do the math. Force their brain to step out of the comfort of belief and into the cold light of fact. That is how you break the loop. And that is how you think sharper. If you found this breakdown helpful, do me a favor and hit that like button. And in the comments, tell me a time you use specifics to win an argument. And before you go, I want to add a quick logic check because what happened in the debate can be confusing. See, some of you might be thinking, wait a minute, Alan, did Dean just prove that God intended for Hitler to happen? No. And to understand why, we have to look at the difference between an argument being valid and an argument being sound. So for an argument to be valid, the structure of that argument has to be correct. And for an argument to be sound, the premises must be true. See, what Dean used is a trap called the Reductio ad Absurdum. He took Amanda's logic and followed it to the end. Here's the structure of the trap. Premise A, God is intentional about every leader. Now that's Amanda's belief. Premise B, Hitler was a leader. That is a fact. And the conclusion, therefore God was intentional about Hitler. Now, is this argument valid? Yes, absolutely 100%. See, if you accept premise A and premise B, you must accept the conclusion. The logic itself is bulletproof, and that is why Amanda panicked. Her brain realized the structure was perfect. But is the argument sound? Well, that depends on if you believe premise A is actually true. Most theologians would say, no, God allows things, permissive will, without intending them, perfect will. So why did Amanda lose the point? Well, because she is the one who set the trap. See, by claiming God chose Trump intentionally, she locked herself into premise A. Dean, well, he just closed the door. The lesson here, be careful with your premises. If you claim something is always true, a critical thinker only needs one bad example to make your entire worldview crumble. Hey, keep practicing. I'll see you next time.